there, I'm Betsy. In this video, I'll show you how to set up custom registration for your Zoom meetings, and we're going to go step by step. This feature is so useful when you want to collect names and emails and even ask them questions before they join your event. It's perfect for webinars, workshops, and even live trainings. Take note, you must have a paid account in order to use this feature. It does not work with basic Zoom accounts. Also, you must schedule the meeting using the Zoom web portal because that's where you're going to find this setting. If you want help with scheduling your Zoom meeting, check out our video on that. I'll link it in the description below so you can start there if needed. Now let's go take a look at how to create that custom registration page. It all starts here in your Zoom portal at zoom.us. Make sure you're in your meetings tab, which you see there on the left-hand sidebar. And then once you have clicked the button to schedule a meeting, as long as you've given it the title and the date and the time, the most important thing here is that the registration is required right here. Once you click that box, then Zoom will know to create a link that is automatically generated. So do not use your personal meeting ID for these types of meetings. And then you'll get a link that actually leads to your custom registration page. So watch, I'm going to take you there. Make sure at the bottom that you click the blue button that says Save. Okay, so that brings you to this confirmation page that shows you that you have a meeting scheduled on a specific date and time with a specific title. And then you see that you've got that long link right there with the two little tiny squares at the end. That icon will allow you to copy the registration link, and it leads people to your registration page. But watch this, when you open it, the registration page is very basic. You see, as you see here, Zoom has given you a very basic registration page. It's got the title of your meeting, which, by the way, don't call it my meeting. You can certainly put the name of your event right there. It gives some information and it asks people for the required first name, last name, and email. But what if you wanted to know more about them? Maybe where they're from, or what their company is called, or what they do for their company, or maybe what their title is or position. You can even ask questions about their experience with maybe what you're talking about. And all of these questions can be added to this form. You can also add your branding, and that's what we're going to do next. The branding is added on the registration tab right here. Once you click there, you'll be able to edit the questions, and you see this is one of the most hidden buttons. It's all the way over on the right-hand side. You see there where it says edit? That's where you're going to click to edit the branding and start your registration page questions. Once you get in here, you can see at the top that you have some options to tweak. You can choose to indicate whether the registration is automatically approved or manually approved. So what does that mean? When they fill out your registration page, if you leave it on automatic, once they submit your registration page, they will automatically be approved and they'll be sent the Zoom link so that they can join. Now, of course, they might be registering days or weeks in advance, and so they'll have this in an email so that they can get to it when the event occurs. You're even going to be able to send them reminders when it gets closer to that event. If you want to make sure you can check their name and maybe location and company name and whatever other questions they answered before you give them that link to your event, then you want to set it to manual. The options that you see below there are also very valuable. If you want to get an email, check that box. This will send you an email when the person has signed up so that you're alerted to it. If you want to make it so that after your meeting occurs, your meeting, your event, your class, your live webinar, your live training, whatever this is, a workshop, if you want to make sure that if that email gets into the hands of someone that is looking through their inbox days, weeks after your event, you want to make sure that when they click that, they're told that the event is over and registration is closed, then check that second box. The last three options allow you to make those changes that says when people attend, are they able to join from both a computer and maybe a phone and a tablet? If you want that ability, keep that checked. If you don't, remove the checkbox. And then the next box says, if you want to be able to say, once 75 people are signed up, then the event is closed. so you can actually limit it to a quantity. This is great for people who have a certain level account with Zoom. If you have a pro account, your quantity is limited to 100 people, including yourself. So if you want to limit it here, you can. Now, don't worry, having too many people is a great problem to have. So if you find that you don't want to limit it and you think that your Zoom account can't hold it, as the event is getting closer, if you think that you need to add on a larger capacity, you can easily do that by going into your Zoom account profile. You do have to pay a fee to upgrade it to a larger audience, but you can do that immediately and Zoom opens up the quantity immediately. So you can see here, when you do choose that option, all you have to do is just limit the amount in the box. And finally, if you want some buttons on the form available for them to share to certain social media platforms, that's what that last button is for, so that your post can appear on their social media, let's say on their Facebook page, and it'll automatically go there. To add on questions to your form, click the Questions tab. Now, this area in here is superb because you can actually tell Zoom to add on some areas such as their address, maybe their city. Depending on where your audience is coming from, this type of data might not apply. Certain countries don't have zip codes or states, for instance, but you'll be able to indicate in here by picking and choosing which ones you want. So if you wanted to give them the opportunity to put in what country they're from, just click that box there. As you scroll down, you can see that some of the other options are like phone and industry and company. Now notice the second column. Those checkboxes are to indicate whether they must fill in that information. So if you want to provide the space in the registration form so that they can fill it out, but not make it required, then leave the boxes on the right empty. But if you want to make sure that they have to tell you what country they're from, then click the button there that's required. In addition, if you want to make it so that their phone number is required, definitely check that box. But this is all optional and up to you. Now, at the very bottom of the list, you'll see an option for questions and comments. That's not for you to put your question in. That's for them to just have an area that they can type a little paragraph to you if they have a question for you. So if you want that, definitely put it in. It's really helpful. But here's actually the best part. At the very bottom, click where it says Add Question. This opens up an area where you can ask a question to them. Like when I host my events, I usually want to know what type of Zoom account you're using, because when I'm talking to you, there are things that apply for a basic account, and then there are things that apply for a paid account. If you have a basic account, sometimes you can't do what I'm talking about for the paid account. And if you want some information about the differences between a basic Zoom account and a paid Zoom account, check out our YouTube video on that here. So you start by typing your question where it says question 1. So just delete that text and type what you want. Then underneath there, choose the type of question. So rather than just me giving them a space to type anything they want, I know that there are 2 main choices I want them to pick from. So instead of short text, click there and choose single choice. That's going to open up an area below where you can put the choices that they get to pick from. At the bottom, make sure you scroll down until you see the blue button that says Save. I know there's a blue button down there that says Save All, but that's not the save for the individual question that you are building. And sometimes it's hidden like this. So definitely scroll down until it comes into view. I've done that enough times, so I'm telling you, scroll down until you see it. Sometimes these little windows are too small to show you all of the options. Then that's your first question that you're going to ask them. If you wanted to ask them another question, just click at the bottom where it says that. And so in this case, if I wanted to, I could just leave it to short text, give them a space to type some information, make it required, and then they would have to tell me just a little bit about what they're coming in to learn. So you see on the right of each of the questions, there's a little checkbox, which indicates that those questions are also required. Then again, scroll down until you see that blue button that says Save and click there. Now, as you scroll, you can see all of your questions that are there for your form. And at this time, you're going to click the blue button at the bottom that says Save All. You want to see what it's going to look like? Go back to the details of your meeting using the Details tab across the top, and then click on that registration link. Look at that. So now we're building a new registration page where it's still a little bland. It doesn't have our logo or our picture maybe, or our company name. That's coming. But look at this. You've been able to add questions. Now notice next to each question, there is a red asterisk for the ones that are required, and the ones that aren't required, they don't have the red asterisk. So the person here, when they're filling it out, they have to fill out their name, their first name and last name, their email, but they can skip over address. Some people will give it to you. They'll get to country. They have to fill in country. That lets you, if you're giving an international event, you can have some statistics about where people are from. And then as they work down, they do have to give you their phone. We just did that for this example. You don't have to do that. And then the industry and organization are not required, but our questions are required. What type of Zoom account do you use? And then there are our choices. And then what is your experience with Zoom for Business? And then they just put in whatever they want. The bottom one where it says questions and comments, that's a really great place to just have something that they can type something for you. They may skip over it because it's not required. And then what they would do is they would click register. Once they click register and the form is completed, if you set it to manually approve their registration like we did, then you have to go in and look at the registrations and approve them. Let's take a look. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so here we are back in at the registration tab. You can see that across the top. We were on details to go look at our meeting time and date and link, but now we're back on the registration tab where we can either edit our registration options or look at the top there where it tells you how many registrants you have and how many are approved. So what does that mean? Well, we set it to manually approve earlier. So you know that you have so many people who have registered, but none have been approved because you do the approval. So to do that, again, on the far right of the page, click the edit button, which is in line with that area. This opens up a listing of everyone who has registered and whether they have been approved or not. I just filled out the registration form with my information as a test. And to see that it works, you would click on the checkbox in a sense that you are approving it. And then the approve button is right at the top of that column. If for some reason you saw somebody come through and you didn't want to approve them, you could deny approval. That's the whole point of making it manual so that you can come in here and look at the person's name and email. Now, the answers to their questions are not here. The answers to their questions are somewhere else, and that's in the registration report. And I'm going to take you there next. If you want to print out a report that shows you the answers to all those questions, it actually will be provided to you in a CSV. So it's very much like a spreadsheet that you can look at in either Microsoft Excel or numbers on your Mac computer or in Google Sheets. And this is how you generate it. From your Zoom web portal, go to Reports where you see it there on the left-hand side. Then on the right-hand side, click on Meeting and Webinar Registrations. In the screen that appears, if you don't see your meeting, you need to change the date range that is shown at the top. So you can do that here. You just have to make sure you give it the date range within the time, and you can only give it a month. So you have to look within the month where your meeting is scheduled. Then look down the list, locate your meeting, and on the far right, click Generate, and then tell it you want to see all registrants. Because if you set it to manual, you want to see the people that you have approved and or denied, and that would be all. Now, at the very top corner of the screen on the right, it says Report Queue, and there's this little circle going round and round. When it's done, it'll show you that it delivers it to your Downloads folder on your computer. Just go ahead and click there from your browser, and that CSV will open up in a program that you have. As I'm recording this video, I'm using a MacBook, so it automatically opens up in Numbers, but if you have Microsoft Excel installed and set up that way, it would open up in that. In the spreadsheet that was delivered to you from when you generated the registration report, when you open that up, it shows you all of the answers to the questions. And so then you can decide whether to approve their registration or not. Or even in the case where you would have automatic approval, like I do most of the time, I use this information to my benefit. So I know a little bit about the person before they actually show up to my event. Do you want to run professional Zoom calls that convert? Get on my priority list for Zoom Confidence. It's my on-demand training that shows you how to turn Zoom into your most powerful sales tool, even if you're not techie. So to put some finishing touches on that registration form, it is great when they get to that form that they actually see a little bit about your company or your company logo, or maybe even a picture of you, so they know what they're signing up for. And that's all done here on the branding tab. The first section is the banner, and the banner is going to be somewhat like a cover or a cover photo at the top. Let's take a look again at our registration page of what we have now. So you see at the top, it says My Meeting. That's the name of your event. But between that and the date and time and everything else, there's nothing on this page that shows anything that has to do with your company. But watch this. When we use the branding tab and we click the upload button, and you pick a graphic that you have previously made, I made this one in Canva, this will be added to your registration page. Keep in mind that there are some details below where there are some restrictions about this graphic that you're using. Zoom limits the size of the file as well as the dimensions, so make sure what you're using fits within those constraints. And then the area below lets you fill in your logo. So go ahead and click that upload button. This area and this graphic is also limited to constraints and is actually much smaller than the banner. So make sure you look at the fine print below there. Zoom tells you that the logo suggested dimensions is 200 by 200 and the maximum dimensions are 600 by 600. So it's definitely a smaller sized graphic, and the file size is only 300 KB. So make sure it fits between those constraints. Now let's take a look at what we've got. What a difference. So the banner is at the top with your picture and then maybe some information about your tagline or what the title conveys. And then your logo is right there in the center beside the date and time. It really sets a branded tone to your registration page so people know what they're signing up for. Now, when everybody is filling out this registration form, they will get a confirmation email automatically. That's the beauty of all of this. This is all happening and it's automated. So you put the link out there, they fill in the form, and they're automatically given a confirmation email about the event. That email can be customized by you, and I would do that ahead of time for sure, so that once you share the link, everything is set in place. Let me go show you where those email settings are. So it starts here on the email settings tab so that you can configure how you want those confirmation emails sent out and where you want the email to come from. So the first one is the email language, and this comes from your account. And so if it's already set properly, you don't have to touch it. However, there is an edit button on the far right, so you can change that. The second option is the email contact. And so if people were to reply to that email confirmation, it would go there. And if you wanted to change that, you could do that with the edit button on the far right. The third option is where you get to configure, edit, or tweak that confirmation email that they get. If you want to see what it is, go ahead and click there where it says, send me a preview email. If you want to tweak what the email says, give it a little different phrasing, click edit. This is the template for the confirmation email that they're going to be getting. Now, keep in mind, not every section of this email is editable. You're going to be able to edit the places that are outlined with the boxes, starting with the top where it says meeting topic and then confirmation. Now, meeting topic is the text that you put as your meeting title, which is your meeting topic when you scheduled the meeting. So that's just going to be substituted right in there. If you wanted to add something to the subject like instead of confirmation, you just wanted to say meeting topic confirmation email open immediately, something like that. That would be added on to the subject line of this email that they get. A little bit down below, you see after the Zoom logo, there is some text. You cannot edit any of that. That's set in stone. But the box underneath can be edited. So it can be something like this. And you might want to bring attention to this section to say, note, please prepare ahead of time. So you could give them an instruction maybe to do before they join your meeting, and then you could put a link in here to one of your videos. Just like that. You put a link in there to one of your videos, and then in their email, they're going to be able to have something to do to prepare for your event before they get there. The last section that is editable is below. So when you scroll down, there is one more box. And so you can put some more text in here that alerts them to maybe something that they have to keep in mind. Maybe it's your privacy statement, or it's something that they have to know about refunds or any other policies, or a money back guarantee if this is a paid event. So this is all area that you can add your text. And when you're done, click Save. So at this point, we have created a custom registration page, but there's one more important thing that I've got to show you. You see, once you start getting in your registrations and you know how to go in and check whether they're approved or not approved, and then actually run a report to see how they answered on your registration questions, as you get closer to your event in the days ahead, you may want to send out reminder emails, and Zoom does that automatically for you as long as you go in and check the boxes and click send. So it is somewhat automatic, but not totally. So watch this. I'm going to show you how to do it. You don't have to know everybody's email address. You're just going to be able to choose their names from the list and click send. Watch. Make your way back in here to the registration tab, then click on that edit button on the far right. When you get inside, click on the Approved tab across the top, and you'll see the list of people who have been approved. Now, this is how you send out their reminder emails. Go ahead and click the checkbox at the top of the registrants column. That will select everybody on that page. And then at the top, there's a button that says Resend Confirmation Email. Go ahead and click there. Here is an important note. When you have multiple pages of registrants, you must resend confirmation emails one page at a time. So you're going to click that box at the top. It's going to select everybody on that page, and you click resend. Then you're going to scroll down to the bottom, click on page number 2, and then select everybody on that page and click resend. That's how you do it. And that's how you create a custom registration page for your Zoom meetings. If this was helpful, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more easy Zoom tech tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.